I was born in Arkansas, which will make sense as I continue to talk, because you'll be like, that's not what that word means. But he said it with such conviction, and yes, go Hogs. Woo pig. Moved down to Dallas when I was 12, and by Dallas I mean Garland, because if you're going to move from Arkansas to Dallas, Garland's the right way to do that. That's a very seamless transition. For those of you not from Texas, don't know the Dallas area real well, Garland, the TV show King of the Hill is based on Garland, Texas, which is a lot like Arkansas. Played football at the Naval Academy, played briefly in the NFL. No one knows that because I played the same position as Ray Lewis, and he's pretty good. I remember being at practice one day going, it might be easier to become a Navy SEAL than to beat out this guy. So I did, and it's funny whenever my bio gets read is, you know, everyone's taught, they hear this image of like, oh man, college linebacker, Navy NFL linebacker, Navy SEAL, and then I come up and talk, and everyone's like, is that the guy introducing the guy? Because I didn't think they looked like that. But here's the deal. Navy SEALs will come in all shapes and sizes. My size is round. If you know anything about physics, round is the strongest shape in all of nature. So when stuff gets hard, these perfect V-shaped guys are going to break in half. And I'm just going to keep on rolling. So round people rise up. We're good. It's fun to be here with you guys. I've known Nikki for a long time. I've obviously known WFA for a very long time. And through them and through your great patronage and support of this thing called Carry the Load that we started, have just yet to meet someone from your organization that isn't awesome, other than Mike Devlin. He's horrible. I don't like him. If he was here, I wouldn't be. That's a joke. I really care a lot about him. He's a dear friend. But one of the things y'all know about me is I just love simplicity. I love being around people who do what they say they're going to do, and they mean what they say as much as they possibly can, and they're trying to find ways to do that which they collectively said they're going to do. And I think it's important to have meetings like this. These meetings are really vital. They're how you measure, and that's how you kind of realign and how you go forth to do these things. And I think it's important to measure outcomes. I do. And I think when you have time, you should measure outcomes in any conceivable way possible, any way possible. But if you have no time, I choose simplicity. I love simplicity. Because simplicity is the only thing that works when things are going really bad, or when you're scared and you're stressed and you're over your skis. And if you're living any kind of life you're proud of, you're probably scared, stressed, or over your skis every once in a while, if not often. And so when I've measured outcomes, for me, there's really only 5 ways to do it. I don't really care what you're trying to do. I care how good you want to be at the things you say are important to you. And so for me, measuring outcomes is simple. It's bad, it's average, it's good, it's excellent, or it was elite. That's it. It was bad, it was average, it was good, it was excellent, or it was elite. And so for me, that's really what it comes down to. When you're looking at what you've done this last year, what you're going to do next year, and you had no time, you could call it one of those 5 things. You know, and if bad's okay with you, I don't know how you're in this room. I don't know how you made it in here. And if you somehow ninja'd your way into this room, don't come up and talk to me afterwards. We're not going to be friends. We don't have a whole lot to talk about, right? Average has no secrets. Y'all are in the news and entertainment industry. I've never heard a news line like, oh, the secrets of averageness come out, like revealed. Like, you know, in all my years, no one's ever come to me and go, how do you maintain such mediocrity for so long? What's the secret to staying slow? Like, no one's getting running tips from me. There's no book on being average. There's one book on being average I read, and it was about a comedian named Tom Arnold, and he wrote a book that said, my name's Tom Arnold. Here's how I lost 6 pounds in 5 years. That's fairly average. It's a fairly average book title. Actually, I turned 40, and I find that to be quite ambitious. I'm like, 6 pounds, 5 years. You paleo? How do you do that? How do you do 6 pounds? But average has no secrets. Then there's good. You know, and good's okay if it's not your passion or your profession. Good is okay if it's not your passion or your profession. But if it's your passion or your profession, the only thing you should be okay with is something between excellent and elite. Somewhere between excellent and elite. Well, what's the difference? Well, for me, I've always kind of intuitively known the difference. I'm not a very talented person. You know, I call myself the achieving average. And what I mean by that, it's a play on words. I call myself the achieving average, but I'm not an average achiever. When I say I'm an achieving average, what I mean is if you were to aggregate all my skills and abilities and put a letter grade next to it, you would find me to be a high C or low B in just about everything except for looks. I'm really good looking. It is what it is. I'm a really handsome guy. It's awkward if we just don't go ahead and get it out of the way. Look at his eyes. It's my eternal curse. Listen, y'all are laughing, which is a little bit hurtful, honestly. I know I'm not a good-looking guy. What I mean by that is, at a very young age, I realized that the secret to doing anything was surround yourself by people who are good and gifted and driven and mean what they say as much as you mean what you say, and just go. And I've loved surrounding myself with people who just constantly produce elite outcomes. And for me, that's where the difference between these two words became real. You know, excellence is this place on a map. It's quantifiable. It's measurable. You can put it on a map and you can get there, and that's great. And you should get to excellent, and you high five and you hug and you celebrate. But then there's a certain kind of person that gets to the X, the thing they said they were going to do, the place they said they were going to be, and they high five and they hug and they celebrate and they acknowledge the victory and the sacrifice, but then they go, hey, what's that? What's that miscovered ridge line over there? Has anybody ever been there before? Has anybody done that before? Who wants to go do that? And that, for me, that's the not done kind. And that's what I love. And I've only learned to talk about it recently like that. I've always kind of instinctively known there's a difference between excellent and elite. But the way I talk about it now became clear to me in the days after 9/11. In the days after 9/11, I was one of the very first units into the Middle East. My SEAL platoon was already over there, and they pushed us right over to the Middle East, and we started doing what's called a MEO, a Maritime Interdiction Operation. We're basically taking ships down. We were hitting ships in the middle of the night that we thought had bad guys or bad stuff on it. We were basically pirates. It was awesome. It was everything I signed up for. We were American pirates. You know, my guys had eye patches on. I'm like, that looks really cool. Take them off when we're working, both eyes. Get both eyes open. You know, I bought a parrot. It looked great. It flew away. I was pretty sad. But while I had it, I looked like an American Blackbeard. And it was awesome. And we had intelligence that a ship was coming out of Iranian waters one night. And so we stalked it through the middle of the night, rough seas. And we hit it, and it was stunningly successful. It was an amazingly successful mission. And I'm not one of these guys that talks a lot about the details of what went over there. I think a lot of times what happens over there needs to stay over there to protect our ability to do it again. But I would tell you this, everything that you are, the pride that you have in the Special Operations community, it would have been double that night. And not just the SEAL teams, it was the big Navy that was with us. It was our coalition partners, the Australians that we were working with. And it wasn't just men, we had 2 female pilots up in the air and Marine Corps aviators, and I had my snipers hanging out of their helicopters giving us green lasers and red lasers telling us where to go. It was beautiful. Have you ever been part of something that came alive like it was purpose built for that moment? That was that night. It was amazing. It was like watching water roll downhill. And I was one of the leaders of that, and I was extraordinarily proud of it. And so it was a successful mission, incredibly successful mission. And the next morning, my chief and I, the chief in the Special Operations Community is a senior enlisted, and that's where all the skill, all the history, all the legacy of the community lives, is with the senior enlisted community. And my chief was amazing. He's 6'2", 250 pounds, played linebacker at Fresno State. I'd already done platoons with him, big barrel-chested freedom fighter, and he was like my big brother, and I loved him, and I was proud to be a part of his unit. And I wanted to impress him. And he and I had to go fly across and go talk to one of the leaders in theater. And we were walking across the I'll never forget this. We were walking across the flight deck. The sun was rising over the Arabian Sea. The wind was blowing through our hair. I had that at the time. I had hair. Daughters, hair gone. No daughters, still had hair. Walking through. And the only thing missing was like Chuck Norris and some theme music. Like that was it. It was a perfect moment, absent Chuck Norris and some soundtrack music. But it was really amazing. And I remember turning and looking at my chief, and I said, hey, chief, the boys were excellent. They were excellent. And we ought to do something for them. And he stopped dead in his tracks. And I can see this in my mind's eye right now. He stopped dead in his tracks, and he turned and he looked at me, and he was mad. And he leaned in and he said, hey, sir, the award for excellence is no punishment. I'm not here to be excellent. I'm here to be elite. He stomped off. Hey, sir, the award for excellence is no punishment. I'm not here to be excellent. I'm here to be elite. There's a difference. I'm not done. And he stomped off. Now, I thought 2 things in that moment. And the first one is, man, I'm so scared of that guy. Golly Moses. Man, I was scared of him before then, but after that, I just didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to make eye contact with him. I was like, I'm going to get some coffee, or I'll bring you coffee, chief, and you just drink your coffee, and maybe I'll get my coffee if you think, or I'll just stand here. I'll stand here. I was scared of him. And the second thing was, I got it. That's the difference between excellent and elite. Is, are you done or are you not done? And I love being around the not done kind. Because the not done kind are always producing elite outcomes. On the ball field, on the battlefield, on the boardroom, in the breakfast table, I've seen these things stay true. Those who aren't done produce elite outcomes in their home life, in their professional life, in their community, in their endeavors, and their goals. That's what they do. And as this average among elites, what I've learned is I've watched them and I've tried to incorporate what they maybe intuitively do, and if not intuitively, they certainly do it on purpose, what they do, and I put it in my own lives. And I call these things the pursuit points. And they're the 5 things that elite achievers do all the time. Ball field, battlefield, boardroom, breakfast table. They do these 5 things all the time. And I want to share them with you today. Then I want to challenge you. And then I want to take questions with the time that we have left. So here we go. The first pursuit point is this. Elites are balanced. They create high ground for hard days because they know hard days are coming. They know the ocean that they're on. They recognize the map that they're on and the terrain, and they expect hard days, so they cultivate high ground that they can go to when the hard days happen. Elites are curious. They're curious. They want to find out. They don't want to be found out. They want to take the time to find out. They don't want to be found out because they know that what they do tells the truth. You know, what I love about football is football tells the truth. You can't lie during the game. Everyone will find you out. And elites know this. Elites are tribal. They know they need something more than them to do something bigger than them, and they're always trying to do something bigger than themselves. Elites always know why they're there. They are intentional. They're the most intentional people you've ever met. And elites are authentic. They're transparent. They preach from their pain, and they share their scars.